Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Now, if you haven't watched the previous videos within this video series, be sure to check those out because this is one of the finishing steps. So far, if you've been watching my series, if not, check the link within this video's description. I've got them all numbered, rather. So up until this point, I've installed the quick disconnect prop guards. I've installed the gimbal with the GoPro Hero 4 Black for 4K video. What we're going to do in this video is actually attach all of the FPV gear. Now there's a couple of options, and upon doing my research, I decided that I'm going to mount everything externally. Why did I decide on external? Well, if a component should fail, it'll be a lot quicker to replace it. I mean, obviously, it's not too hard to take the top off of the Phantom. It's just a bunch of screws. But I would much prefer to just have it more accessible. Also, with the IOSD Mini, which is right here, since it has a little port on the side for firmware updates, it's optimal to have this quickly accessible so I can install the most current firmware for the IOSD Mini as it becomes available. So let's get into this, and nothing that you see here is scripted. This is my first time installing, and as I go, I will explain which component I'm using so that you can, well, really all you have to do is go to the link within this video's description, and you can order everything that I'm using there down to this tape. So, there's nothing. If you're on the fence about doing FPV, this is how to do it. So we're going to make it happen. First thing I'm going to do is flip this over. You're going to want to pay attention. Obviously, your gimbal's already mounted, so you know that's the front of the Phantom, where the camera's facing. And this back here's the back. It's where the battery is. So what we're going to do is utilize this area here to mount everything. Now, what I want to do first is take a look at the board. We want to know what all has to be wired up. So what I'm opening now is this kit that you'll find the link to order within this video's description. It's the parts and components. So basically this is a way to do it without having to use solder. And I know a lot of people may have been hesitant to wire up their own Phantom FPV solution because they felt, well, I don't know how to solder, what am I going to do? So that's what makes this so easy. So you've got this board right here. Now this board is going to go on the bottom of the Phantom. So before we tape anything, what we want to do is take a look at what all we've got to plug in. And actually I'm going to plug it in and just kind of play around with the positioning of all of this equipment. The first thing you'll notice there's a little dip switch on here, a little tiny black dip switch. If you want to see the on-screen display, make sure it's flipped over to on-screen display, which it is. On your Phantom 2, you're going to have a few things here. You're going to have these cables that are sticking out of the Phantom. This particular one here has a little plastic piece that'll plug in. So that's going to be, and we're going to plug this in just to play. That's going to be the Phantom power. Well, power from the Phantom, I guess I should say, to be more appropriate. So this is labeled here. And it is going to go. So you can take I would recommend this tape that had your cable that I'm working with now that's coming out of the Phantom. I'd recommend keeping it there so you can better clean up your cables when you're done. But the cable we're looking at now is this cable that's coming out of the Phantom. So what we're going to do with it, we're going to take this this board that came with the kit that I just mentioned, you can find within this video's description, and we're going to plug this cable into, it's actually the only one that it'll fit in. It's that one right there above my finger. And there's only one direction it can go. Okay, so that's plugged in. Very, very easy. See that? And if you've got Ultra HD, crank up your resolution because I filmed this in 4K Ultra HD so you can really see the detail. So there's several key components we're going to have to plug into this. We're going to have to plug in the power. So at this point, that's all we've got plugged in is the power. The other key component is the gimbal. And obviously this is the cable that came with my gimbal. I just left it in there, so let's see. Oh, Sean Coonery, you're not part of this project, sorry. Okay. So the gimbal will be, I think we're going to have to use a cable that came with the kit to attach the gimbal. So I'm just going to take these all apart here. They're zip tied together. It's actually going to be very simple. What we're going to do, the cable that came with the gimbal, for people that they assumed we're not using FPV, we're going to pull it out to see what it looks like. What the tip of it looks like. So by using it, the cable that came with the gimbal, I'm then going to find the cable that came with this kit that matches it. Okay, so it seems to be this cable. But before I become certain, I'm going to check the other end and ensure that it mates with the gimbal port on this board, which is directly below the Phantom power, the Phantom 2 Vision Plus power. And it is. See, it's snapped in. So now we've got those two plugged in. And just to zoom in so you can see, that's where that one went. The other end of this obviously is going to go into the back of the gimbal. But we're not going to want to do that until we determine the best way to position all this. That's why I don't have this sticky down yet, because we're also going to have to put a video transmitter as well as the mini IOSD. So we're going to have to position all that. So I don't want to glue this or use this tape right here that you can find within this video's description also. I don't want to tape it down yet until we see what all we're dealing with. So our next thing we're going to do is mini IOSD. This end of mini IOSD is going to go into the, if you look here at the leg, the landing gear of the Phantom, the black piece, it goes into the inside part. There's two sides. Don't try to plug it into the outside. Plug it in there. It'll make sense. It's the only place it'll fit. So simply look at your mini IOSD clip. This black clip that holds it in, it's going to face on the inside. So you simply just insert it, and then it snaps. That's it. See? So now what you got to do is put your mini IOSD, and we're going to clean all these cables up after we complete the install, but the mini IOSD is going to have to connect to the to this board as well. So where does the mini IOSD go? It's very simple. It's that top part right there. See the top that doesn't have anything plugged in? It's even labeled. It says mini IOSD. So what we've got to do now is find the cable from this thing of cables that will connect on mini IOSD end as well as that end. And I think I see it right here, but I'm going to confirm. Yep, that's right there. And let's see if this end is... Yep, so this is the cable you're going to use. So I'm going to stick it in the mini IOSD end. It snaps in. And then the opposing end I will stick into the, as I'd mentioned a moment ago. And I'll show you again. See that top part that's sticking up right there? It's going to stick into that. And it snapped. You just wait for that reassuring snap with these connections. Obviously don't push too hard to break it, but see, now you can see. So I've got those cables plugged in. The one that's dangling loose obviously is the one that I mentioned earlier that's for the what am I trying to say? For the gimbal. So now let's see, I think this is it. But let me double check. Oh, no, it's not. We got to have the video transmitter. So this is the AVL58 kit that you'll find within the link within this video's description. Now there's a receiver and a transmitter. The receiver I'm actually not going to use because I'm going to use this in the Black Pearl, but I went ahead and got this just because I felt it was a good value and I got the antennas with it. We're going to want to get the transmitter. And this, by the way, is also going to mount to the bottom of the Phantom, so we're going to, play around with the positioning. And then the antenna that says TX. So to be proactive about this, I'm going to go ahead and attach the antenna so that I can see what kind of space I'll be working with. Because obviously, once you mount this, you're going to have your, you're going to have your antenna on. So that's going to determine how I place this. Now there is a, here's the pinout right here for the transmitter. So now we got to find our cable that goes into this transmitter here. Let me just double check before I show you. Okay, so yeah, this is the cable you're going to use. It came with a kit of cables, and it's the only one that's going to fit. So if you look, there is going to be one plug we're not going to use on this board, and that's the IOSD, because we're not using that, we're using mini IOSD. So this will go in the last hole, the last plug rather, which is down here towards the bottom. You can see it. Just stick it in that. And it gave me that reassuring snap. And then this other end's going to go into the transmitter. But now what we want to do now before I attach all this, so these are all the cables. That's it. I mean, it's simple. What I'm going to do now is kind of slide these parts and stuff out of the way, the stuff I'm not going to be using. And also this tape that came with it, there's probably nothing wrong with it. Actually, I'm going to use that for the transmitter, or for this board right here. What we want to do now is play around with the positioning of this, because this transmitter is going to have to go on the back. So is the mini IOSD and the and this little board. So my thoughts are that the mini IOSD, well, this right here is going to need to go next to the let's do this. Let's plug this in first, because this is going to this cable is going to plug into the back of the gimbal. So that's going to go into the back of the gimbal, which leaves, let's see, this board. Technically, we could probably our best bet with it is to kind of put it close up under there. The camera's not going to be coming back that way. So yeah, let's get our sticky tape and let's go ahead and put it on the back of this board that all the cables are running into. So this is going to go on the back of that board. And then I'm going to I'm going to put that as close as I can there. Actually, before I tape that down, I want to play with this for a second. So maybe that should go underneath. See, then we got this mini IOSD. So there's a lot of options for this. And it's really whatever your thoughts are for placement. Because I don't want the antenna sticking out the back. So I know a lot of people have done that, but I don't want that because I don't want to deal with it when I'm putting my battery in and out. And that's got a fan on it, so I don't want to mess with the airflow at all. Or maybe if it goes kind of sideways on this so that it's not in the way of the fan. Let's see. And then the mini IOSD can go there and I can secure it to that. That's how we're going to do it. Okay. So for starters, I'm going to slide this back out. Now on this bottom side where all the writing and stuff is, I'm going to get a big piece of this double-sided Scotch tape that you can also find within the link within this video's description. And we're going to cut it just so it extends the length of the transmitter. This tape's super light, not going to add any significant bulk or anything. Actually, the best way to do it is stretch it out like this and just go ahead and tape it to this. And then and then cut it to fit, see? So then I just cut right there. And I've got this part prepared, so I'm going to kind of rub it and make sure it's good and stuck. And it is now. So I can peel off the other end. It's because it's double-sided sticky stuff. And now this is ready to stick to the bottom of my Phantom 2 in the location that we had, let's see. which that right there is the optimal location in my opinion. So now we've got that on there. What we can do next is go ahead and stick our little board. Be sure not to block your fan, because you don't want any. You don't want your transmitter to overheat. And actually, I made a mistake. See, this cable is going to be in the way here. But there's no problem. I can feed it back underneath. Yeah, because it doesn't need to stick up, because it will interfere with the gimbal. See that when it turns, it hits that. So I got to play with this a little bit. Okay, so I just kind of twisted it to where it would go under there, and now nothing's making contact with it. So you can see everything now is on the back. There's nothing that's going to make contact. And probably what I'll do too is so I'll put some electrical tape on there just to better ensure that stays like that. Yeah, that's perfect. Nothing in the way there. Okay, and now what we're going to do is this IOSD Mini. First, let's see, before we do this right here is the power for the, well, this has to go into the, what's it called, into the transmitter. So that actually works great. That positioning of the transmitter was perfect, because that cable is plenty long enough. So now it's inserted into the transmitter. So now, before I attach the mini IOSD, I just want to give you a close-up so you can see all the cables are connected. Everything that's going to be connected is connected. The only thing I don't have is the IOSD Mini sticky to the craft yet. I've got to figure out where I want to place it, and that's a no-brainer. I'm just going to place it on the back. Now when you place this, you want to make sure your USB port, which is right there, is accessible, because you're going to, you may need to access that USB port to do firmware updates, etc. So I actually got a couple of options. I can mount it on the side here, but I think what I'm going to do is just put it right here on the back, and then that way it's accessible, and then we can work with this cable after that and kind of get it out of the way. So yeah, let's go ahead and sticky this down. It's going to use one of these little double-sided strips that came with the kit, and put it on the back of the video transmitter. And then with it on the back of the video transmitter, I'll then stick the mini IOSD to it. So actually, let me put this on there before I take that other layer of tape off. Yeah, so see, I just stuck that on the back of the video transmitter, and now I'm going to take off the layer so I can stick the mini IOSD to it. Okay, so that was easy enough. Now let's stick the IOSD mini, again paying attention to your to the orientation of your USB port on that. So there we have it right there, IOSD mini. And you wouldn't believe how strong this double-sided tape is. I mean, I don't feel that there's any risk of it coming loose. What we can do now is take, that cable's not too long, but this IOSD mini black cable, I think what I might do with it is just kind of, we don't want it up by the gimbal because we don't want any not connection, but we don't want it making contact with the gimbal. So what we want to do is we need to secure it somehow. So I think what I'm going to do is just take the back. Yeah, let's see. You can keep it simple. Utilize this tape that was used for securing of the power cable, and we're just going to tape it to this leg here. And the only reason I'm doing that is just so that in the wind, you know, it wouldn't potentially make contact with the gimbal, because ultimately that would degrade your video quality, because that's the whole point of the gimbal, is to stabilize your video. That's perfect. So I mean, everything is wired up. You can see there's no risk of interference with the cables, any of the cables making contact with anything. The other good thing is that with the way that this is set up, it's easy to just put in my Phantom 2 case. You can also find within the link within this video's description. So it's, you know, it's not adding any, there's nothing that's sticking out to the side except for the antenna. So when I do put it in my case, I'll have to see if it'll fit with antenna on, or I may have to take it off. Good thing about antenna is that you just unscrew it. That's it. I mean, it's easy to take on and off. So I like this setup. What do you think about it? And be sure to check the link within this video's description and watch my videos, because that's going to be the true test. Again, I created this to be a 4K ultra high definition video rig, and that's what I'm going to get with this. I mean, this is going to take IrixGuy's Adventure Channel to the next level. So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, share with others, and when you attempt this procedure on your own, be sure to order everything through the link within this video's description, because it's that helps my channel. And that's part of the reason I'm doing this, is to help you, but to also make it convenient so that when you decide to order and build your own, that it's an easy process and it's all in one place. So that's it. DJI Phantom 2, first person view, do it yourself. Watch the next video in this series to see this sucker in action. And y'all have a good day.